What's up, you guys? Third Eye Blind's latest Never Let You Go. You just saw that right here in Hot Tub behind me. The Tommy Jeans 2000 show, Young, Loud, and Sexy, is underway. Mary J just took the stage and left it again. The music is pumping. You know how Tommy does. It's going to be off the hook. I got the latest from Mariah Carey. More of the show. We are taking you on through to the after party. We're going to get it all in. Too much going on for one day. We will be back. Right now, we're going to take a little break, come back from Mariah's latest, and more Tommy Jeans 2000, baby. We're rocking out. What?
Just so we can level set a little bit, you guys, we know that the theme for today is Ananda Lewis. And basically what we've invited the guests of the show, these are guests who will be coming on the show to talk about their various projects. We've invited the guests to also share and expound on their thoughts about Ananda, MTV, the history of the culture. And so what you're going to be witnessing is various interviews that will be then cut into episodes of a live show, and we will also make those episodes available. And so I want to welcome everyone who's watching us streaming live and all those who are joining us in our webinar. We're going to start and kick this whole thing off. Ariva. So we have Andy Hilfiger and Rhonda Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Hilfiger is the brother of Tommy Hilfiger, and he's always been very instrumental in the marketing and creative side of the Hilfiger brand. Rhonda Ray is a great fashion stylist, and I'll let her expound on some of the work she's doing now. And so, Ariva, let's start with an interview segment for your show where you talk to Rhonda and Andy about fashion and about Ananda. I'll turn it over to you, Ariva.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are talking about Ananda Lewis, but we're also talking about fashion, the culture. We're talking about advocacy, and we're talking about how people, particularly African Americans, are lifting their voices in this moment on so many important issues. We know that Ananda Lewis's death represented not just the loss of a cherished entertainment figure, but the silencing of a voice that constantly championed authentic representation. She stood for youth empowerment, she stood for social consciousness, and she really transformed the way many folks watched MTV videos. I mean, she is a 1990s legend in media, in culture, and of course in fashion. So I'm super excited to be talking about Ananda's legacy and the bigger issues in fashion and culture with Andy Hilfiger and Rhonda Ray. Thank you both, Andy and Rhonda, for joining me for this segment and for all that you both do for the culture. I want to start with you, Andy. Tell us a little about your relationship with Ananda. I know that you knew her. I know that she was actually in a Hilfiger fashion show. So talk a little about your experiences with Ananda.
Well, she was great. I mean, right away, the first 5 minutes I met her, she was just like family, a real sister, like so cool and such a style icon in her personality. And she was just cool in any room. She hosted the Tommy Jeans show, the big show, Tommy Jeans, with a lot of celebrities were in the show and stuff, but she was the host of the whole thing, and she really got it. She was really into the clothing, but the way she dressed, it was kind of like her own thing, her own style. And I actually sent Darren a video today of her hosting the show and interviewing Mary J and Eve, Stevie J, Dallas Austin, Chili, Mark Ronson, and Q-Tip were the DJs. And it was just a moment that was not really such a strategic thing. It just all became authentic and real. And I remember her and Aaliyah and Kidada Jones. They were just like right away best friends. I mean, it was so good to see her get along. Sometimes when somebody hosts the show, a fashion person or something, they're very critical or very, I don't know. She was just like family right away, fun, and, really got it. And then other times, I think we did spring break when she was hosting Spring Break for MTV and Wyclef performed, and just always a good time with her. And like I say, she was beautiful in her style and charisma. Just really, I'll never forget. I hadn't seen her in a long, long time, and when I heard, she passed, I really felt bad. So then when Darren called me and said, of course, I want to talk about her because she was a very, very special person. And she understood pop culture, whether it was hip hop, pop, rock and roll, whatever it was, and fashion.
Right.
Um, Really easy to work with, no attitude, just like that's the kind of thing you like because it makes the whole room feel comfortable.
Talk a little, Andy, about Ananda's style. Did she push the envelope? Was she,
She would
a girly girl? What was her style?
Well, she would always wear very cool jeans mixed with a cool jacket or top in color. She would wear color. In the video, she had this great red leather piece on, I think. She just always looked like the it girl, more of a leader than a follower in fashion. Kind of like the female Lenny Kravitz.
Huh? Okay.
You
That's a good
know,
description. That gives us a good visual.
yeah,
I want
yeah.
you to
She
go
had
ahead,
that rock
Andy.
and roll thing happening, but you know, like Aaliyah. I mean, Aaliyah was sexy tomboy, and they were very similar, and they really loved each other. So,
Yeah, jump in here, Rhonda, because what we know about Ananda was she was a Howard graduate. She
hmm
wasn't just your typical VJ. She really broke barriers in the media. She related to the culture. She related to young people in a way that so many hosts didn't. So, from a fashion standpoint, talk about how important fashion is in terms of that relatability. Like, are you more likely to capture an audience if you dress like that audience or if that audience sees you as cool in terms of your fashion?
Yeah, I think that Ananda, had a style lane of her own. I mean, she was very authentic in her style. She wasn't afraid, as Andy was saying, to wear bold colors, prints, things like that.
hmm
I think she was really rooted, her fashion and her style was really rooted in the culture. So she had a sense of individuality, in my opinion. I had not met her personally, but I grew up watching her as a VJ, and just to see, a woman of color on first Teen Summit and then a global platform like MTV. I think that she kind of was groundbreaking and broke barriers there, in terms of her style and then just her political justice, influence. So style, to get back to your question, is very, very, very important. And I just think that she lived out loud. She lived in color, and on her own terms.
Well, we know that, there are icons like Oprah Winfrey and the late Gwen Ifill. They made strides, significant strides on screen at the same time that Ananda was having her glow up, her blow up. But for millennials, Oprah Winfrey, Gwen Ifill, as great as they are, and the late Gwen Ifill was, they didn't have the connection, Andy, that Ananda had, particularly to millennials.
well,
Now, obviously, they are older, but
to
what
the
made
youth,
that connection?
to the youth, and I think she really was in very important part of pop culture, especially with MTV, to bring in the flavor. Like she brought in, you know, hip hop. Probably not single-handedly because there was some hip hop going on, but she really took it to the next level and she understood, music, fashion, like I say, hip hop, pop, and rock and roll. She fit in all of them. And even when you see, she would be within sync or, somebody else, it was always like a good vibe.
Mhm.
hmm
So, Rhonda, we know that not only was Ananda this incredible host, this incredible VJ, this journalist, but she often did these really substantive panel discussions. She did one after the aftermath of the Columbine shooting in 1999. And she really tackled so many difficult topics on Teen Summit. She won an NAACP Image Award for hosting the MTV program True Life. I Am Driving While Black, which touched on racial profiling. But we're talking about someone who's a style icon, but also someone who, dealt with some of the most serious topics of the day. How does that work? Like, how can you be taken so seriously on topics like racial profiling while at the same time being recognized for your style? Was that common in the 1990s, or is that kind of a new thing that's happening, in today's culture?
I would say it wasn't very common, but again, she, set the tone with that, with just her intellect and style, the merge of the two. I describe her style as, very chic and trending with meets sophistication. She navigated that space with grace, so I don't think, style, style always plays a huge part in my opinion, obviously, but I don't think, it was a, I don't think that it was so notable back then. Someone of her intellect and her education to be able to talk about, socially profiled things and justice and political issues. I think that she was really known for, her hosting in terms of, you know, her being just very educated in those on those topics. So I think that when she got to MTV, it was more groundbreaking, and then everybody started to notice her style because MTV was global, right? That was a whole separate platform. So I think that also, when you got to a platform like that, that was so global that, then people started paying attention to your style, she's, that it girl, smart, but she's got style too. I want to pay attention. I want to tap in a little more. She definitely was, a style icon that had that sophistication, navigated with grace, bold colors. She wasn't afraid to wear prints. She also, know she loved her Tommy jeans. So she wore the baggy jeans with the always, showing some stomach because she had a great body on top of all of it. But I don't think any of that, what she was wearing took away from, her intellect and, her knowledge of just social issues.
So, Andy, I know Tommy Hilfiger, the brand, global brand, known around the world. You guys have had a lot of ambassadors. You've had a lot of celebrities that have worn the brand, that have, helped make the brand the global success that it is. How does Ananda stand out when you think about all of the celebrities that have worn Hilfiger gear and have been featured in magazines and, on social media and the media? What was different about Ananda?
Well, basically, like I said, when she came in a room, she made everybody feel comfortable. She always was upbeat and smiled. And of course, she looked great in the clothes, but she also had her own point of view. So during those times when I was styling artists and celebrities, I would let them pick their own. It wasn't like they'd come into Tommy and I'd say, "Oh, here, wear this. This is what, we're pushing or whatever." It's basically like, here's a couple racks. What would you do with it? And that's what happened with her and Aaliyah and lots of others. But she also knew what she wanted. Sometimes the celebrities would come in, or the artists, and they would have no idea. Like, "Oh, what should I wear? Do you think this?" She had a point of view. You didn't have to like force her or tell her, what to wear. She knew what to wear, and she wore it well.
Well, I am so grateful to both of you, Andy and Rhonda, for sharing your thoughts, your memories about Ananda Lewis. She is clearly going to be missed. She leaves such an incredible
Definitely.
legacy not just as a style icon, not just as an incredible journalist and host, but also her legacy will live on in her 14-year-old son, Langston. So
Oh,
thank
okay.
you both for helping us pay
We should
tribute.
send him some clothes, and if Darren at some point, I'd like to gift her boy with some things.
That's amazing. We will
Yeah,
definitely make
just
sure
send
you
him a
get the
package
contact.
like, your mom liked the brand and enjoy. I mean,
Yeah.
That's incredible, Andy. Thank you so much for
like
that offer.
when I heard about this a couple weeks ago or whatever, how long has it been? Like a couple weeks or
Yeah, it's just
right
been
when I heard about it, I had an ache, in my heart, like, oh wow, she
yeah.
was great.
It's been a
So
week,
She
though.
is definitely going to be missed, and we will make that connection so that you can send those items to her son. I'm sure he will
no,
really
definitely.
appreciate them. Again, thank you so much, Andy. Thank
And
you
I also
for
sent a
joining us.
video, so it's good. It shows her whole personality, and you'll see it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks
Thank
to
you
both
Yeah,
for
of you.
yeah.
I appreciate it. Bye.
Thank
Should
you,
I?
Andy. Thank you, Rhonda. That was so great, you guys. It's exactly what we're this whole day is about. And then Andy, I'll make sure we follow up, and then we can
Yeah.
talk about some other things that we might want to do. You're both welcome to hang out, right? Because we are in a webinar, so you're welcome to hang out. I would just ask that you go on mute. Staci is here. Bentley, Kyle Evans is here. And so what we want to do now is we want to welcome Staci L. Harris for one of the very first. I thought it was so appropriate that your very first interview in this new format of SLA Signature is going to be with the show that you write on. So I'm going to turn it over to you to do an intro and welcome. And we're going to dive right into Mind Your Business on another thing episode of your show. Andy, do me a
And
favor.
I'm going to sign off because I've
Okay,
got
yep.
some things to do.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
I
and
really appreciate it, you guys. And Darren, let me know.
I will for sure. And then
Nice to
just
meet
for
everybody. Rhonda, Stacy, everybody.
You.
Bye.
and just for order of show, what we're going to do after this segment, we're going to have Ariva, we're going to have you come back and talk to Dion Perino. And what we want to talk about in that segment would be about Ananda and her, obviously, Dion runs a modeling and style and fashion agency. And she can talk about, from a business perspective, what she meant from a marketing and branding perspective. And so we are ready to turn this over to Staci and Bentley. And Staci, take it away.
Alrighty, well, thank you guys. I'm very excited to do this episode. This is the reboot of my show. So to have Mr. Bentley Kyle Evans, who I actually work with on Mind Your Business, we are officially in season 2. So I'm really happy to have you, Bentley. Bentley, for some of those who don't know, I'm going to introduce and then reintroduce to others Mr. Bentley Kyle Evans. He's a producer, director, all around Renaissance guy. He has launched some of the biggest careers in Hollywood, and he's actually helped me get my start as a writer. So, Mr. Bentley Kyle Evans.
Yay!
How you feeling, Bentley?
I feel great. I feel good. I jumped in earlier and I felt like, am I in the right Zoom? Maybe I came in too early and I was like, well, maybe I should dip up out of here. But I feel great. I'm good. I think I saw Karen pop in for a quick second. And but I feel good. I feel really, really good, accomplished. I'm in production right now on a show. But we're not here to talk about that. We're going to talk about Mind Your Business, season 2. And I feel really good about season 2. I just got word yesterday, I think it was, that we're doing really good. Our premiere is higher than our premiere was last season. So that is very promising because like we always know, we're trying to get to the next season. So that's what I'll say about that.
Yes, well, thank you for taking the time out. I know you are a very busy man. So let's dive a little bit into season 2. We are going to spend a little bit of time as well as talking about Ananda Lewis, a cultural icon that we lost just last week. But before
Yeah.
we jump into that, I just want to give a little bit of history of the show for Mind Your Business. You can tell the audience how it came about and your role in Mind Your Business.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing business with Bounce TV now since its inception around 2011, and I did a couple of hundred episodes of TV with them um, since then, and so great relationship with all of the team members there at Bounce TV, and so when this show Mind Your Business showed up or fell into my lap, it wasn't a creation of mine. And this is the first time that I've really jumped in and produced and or directed a show that wasn't one of my creations. But I did find it enlightening to do that because I didn't have the weight of the world on my shoulders. It was like I was adopting someone else's show, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it pops into my lap. We have to bring in a writing staff, and we're shooting it at my studio, Harvest Studios, shameless plug. And so, once I got the word that they had interest in me being a part of it and jumping in at the helm, it just made sense. We changed the name of the series, what its original incarnation was, and so we turned it into Mind Your Business, and we put together what I consider to be an all-star cast. And so the one thing about me, I never left the sitcom space. A lot of people went reality, a lot of people went into the drama space, and I had a great deal of success in the sitcom space going back to the early 90s. So I felt as though this was a project that would fall right into my wheelhouse, and it would be something that I could really grab a hold to and make mine. And so I did that, and then I used some of my influence to bring in some of the wonderful cast members, and we have just been having a ball. And season 2 definitely improved from season 1. Season 1 was good. It was good. It was Season 1 was great. Season 2 is greater. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, so we touch on a lot of different topics in season 2 that are relevant to the culture, that are relevant to what's going on in love and relationships, female health. We really kind of dive in this season. How open were you to letting us in the writer's room go a little bit nuts? Because we went a little bit nuts.
I mean, realistically, that's the only way. I've been in some writers' rooms where I wasn't at the helm, and they're very stringent, and the writers feel a little shell shocked to be able to throw out certain subject matters and things like that. But for me, I welcome it because I think that everybody's got an opinion, and the reason why you want so many diverse personalities in a writer's room is because you want those different opinions, those different points of views. And I think that you don't want to stifle your writers. You want to be able to let them be as free as possible. And I learned that very early on in my career by doing Martin, because you couldn't contain that
Yeah.
with the writing or the acting. So you have to be willing to let the writers take their gloves off, come in with crazy storylines. And since we're only able to do 10 at a time, you have to basically pick and choose what makes sense. We haven't done a holiday episode yet, but again, we only got 10 episodes to do it in. So
Right.
we don't want to have a holiday episode kind of mess up the flow of things at this point. So you just do what you do, and you allow the others to do what they do, and it all comes together.
Right. Well, I thank you for letting me do what I do. This was my
Yes.
first professional writing job on a TV show. So it's been a journey, and a great learning experience for me. And you guys are great in the writer's room with allowing us to kind of throw everything against the wall and watch it fall down if it needs to. But I'm going to switch just a little bit and talk about Miss Ananda Lewis. Did you have any, were you able to meet Ananda during her time as a VJ and, when she was hosting? Did you have a chance to interact with her?
I did not, but I did know her post that. She's been in my studio on several occasions. She shot something there a few years back, and I have had interactions with her as it relates to Harry Smith. And so that's how I really was introduced to her. But I admired her always. I was definitely an avid fan of everything that she did, and I watched her and supported her as well. And she just looked like such a beautiful, beautiful human being, physically, and also just you could just tell when somebody just has a spirit that just shines bright through the screen. And so that was my experience with Ananda. She always had kind words every time I saw her, and I wish that I had gotten a chance to even know her deeper than that and everything. I wish it wasn't just surface level, but unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity. But God bless her and her soul, and I just really feel for her family and her child, and so. But God bless her. God bless her. Job well done, Ananda.
Absolutely. I remember when she would host Teen Summit and her long black signature hair with the curls. I was like, oh, she is so fly. I thought she was just so
Yeah.
fly. Okay, anything else you want to tell us, Bentley? Anything that we should be looking forward to from you? I know you all will, first of all, you stay in production like 24/7, 365. So is there anything that we should look forward to that you have coming?
I'm in production right now on the Varnell Hill Show, which is a spinoff of Martin. 30 years after Martin's gone off the air, we're doing Varnell Hill with Tommy Davidson for BET
That's
Plus.
hilarious.
I'm extremely excited about that. We're in production right now. And so, look for that sometime next year. But what a great experience it is to gather the team back together and give a good extension of the Martin Show to create something for the new generation. We're doing it for the culture.
For the culture, baby.
For the
Absolutely.
culture.
Well, thank you so much, Bentley. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and hopefully, I'll see you again very soon in the writer's room. That's the
You're
hope.
more than welcome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Same. Thank you.
You all take care.
Thank you so much, Bentley, man. We really appreciate you tapping in to do this. And we're going to keep this train rolling. I know that Karen Ward, you are here. We're waiting for Brady to join back in. And so we are now going to have Ariva jump back in and have a conversation with Dion Perino. Dion Perino runs the Dion Perino Agency, which is a top modeling agency. I'll let Ariva have you expound on that. But what we really, as we've heard Andy Hilfiger and Rhonda Ray talk about her fashion, her style, but also, there's the business of fashion, there's the business of MTV, and Dion has done work with the network and can talk about we talk about being the it girl, right? Well, Dion represents it girls. And so I'm going to turn it over to you ladies. And obviously, go from there, business, anything else you want to talk about from the visual and image standpoint. Ariva, what she represented from being an African-American woman who looked that way. And obviously, she had a model style, model body. Dion knows everything there is to know about modeling. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Take it away.
Hello, I am so happy to be joined in this segment by Dion Perino. She runs the Dion Perino Modeling Agency, and I think I saw online where you celebrated 30 years of being in business. And I just want to say congratulations to you for being in business that long. As an African American woman entrepreneur myself, I know how difficult it can be to have a business and to be able to celebrate 30 years. So thank you, Dion, for joining me. We are talking about the legacy of Ananda Lewis and the impact that she had on the culture, on fashion, on journalism, and style. And you've seen it all. You've seen some of the top models, some of the top celebrities and influencers in our society. One thing I think about Ananda, we don't often hear the word sex symbol. Maybe, had she been as active before she passed as she was in the 90s, that might have been a word attached to her. Do you think that fits Ananda again in her, in her biggest period, which was in the 90s when she was working on MTV?
Absolutely. I started the agency in 1990, and we weren't given the opportunity to work with a lot of established artists. So all of my artists were baby artists. When she started up, when Teen Summit started, that's when I noticed her, because I wanted to stay, in touch with what the kids were talking about. And she was a star. She was eloquent, politically astute. She had her own quirky style. And when I say quirky, I mean that she didn't fit the mold, which I loved. So I was always connected to her on that show. And when she made the move over to MTV, as Rhonda said, she became global. And I think that's when she became, to me, sexier, because intellect is sexy, fashion is sexy, being a pop icon, because she became iconic during that period to me. It wasn't, like years later when we look back, she was iconic then. She knew how to fit into any room. She knew how to talk to every sort of artist, from an NSYNC, a Britney, Aaliyah. I could go on and on. There's so many kids in that time period, but that was one of the true joys of watching her career, because we were kind of all growing up together, and just seeing the way that she navigated pop culture was just super cool.
A lot of folks, Deon, remember Ananda because of her influence on pop culture, because of her as a VJ on MTV. But I would be remiss if I did not remind folks that she also had some pretty heavy hitters on her resume, on her roster of folks that she interviewed, including folks like Hillary Clinton, Kobe Bryant, Minister Louis Farrakhan. She also was a two-time NAACP award winner. So we can't sum up her journalism just by the influence she had on millennials or on young people because of her role on MTV. I mean, how does someone navigate a world where they are one of the biggest influencers on millennials, but they're also sitting down having a conversation with Hillary Clinton?
One of the greatest things about MTV, because I'm a little bit older, I got my MTV in 1982. So there's a whole generation of baby boomers that were still watching MTV. So her speaking to all of the icons, the celebrities that you just mentioned, they resonated with them. And they also resonated with this new generation, which I thought was brilliant. And that's why I loved her even more.
So the 1990s, really important era, important decade for Black women in society and culture. Angela Bassett was dominating the box office with her film What's Love Got to Do with It, Waiting to Excel, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And then we had Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey, Aaliyah, Toni Braxton. I mean, we had Black women breaking barriers in film, in music, in television. Obviously, Oprah Winfrey, Queen of Daytime Talk at that time. Even Rolanda Watts was a huge daytime talk star. And then amongst all of those giants, Black women, you had Ananda Lewis, as you said, having this global platform on MTV. As you sit back and look, Deon, at the 1990s and compare it to today, are Black women having the moment today that we were having in the 1990s?
Honestly, I don't think that we will see the 1990s again. I do think that Black women have a huge presence on, what do they call it, alternative media? YouTube, TikTok. So they're there. I see them every day. But it's not, we don't have one place to go to anymore. Everybody was at, kids going home and women who were staying at home were watching TRL. It's not the same. So I don't think that we have a presence, but it's not the same type. But yes, the 90s were amazing for women in the business. I mean, the record companies, the publicity, we were everywhere. And then, by the mid 2000s, I think, well, the mid 2000s, meaning like 2004, 2005, we started to kind of fall away, and other media started coming about. And so it's different.
It's interesting that you say that, Dion, because as we have more media outlets, more media channels today than clearly we had in 1990s, you're saying that dilution, that this expansion of media has made the Black female voice, you think, less powerful than it was in the 1990s?
I think that it's not that it's less powerful. You just have to find the power, because it's there, and we will always be there, but in the 90s, you only had ABC, NBC, CBS, MTV, VH1. Like there are very few things that you did outside of those. And now you can, it's endless. And but we're still powerful. And we're power in numbers, because we will pull together and uplift certain voices. And we've seen that happen in the last year. So.
Well, we definitely have to thank and give flowers to Ananda Lewis. She broke so many barriers, played such a critical role in influencing a generation of actresses, style icons, influencers, and journalists. Her work will live on in so many of today's trendsetters and those who are having such an important role in terms of projecting that power of Black women and of Black culture. Thank you so much, Dion, for joining me as we pay tribute to Ananda Lewis.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Now that was really powerful. I mean, Dion, you shared some really great insight
Thanks, Dion.
about the business, and so I know that conversation is going to really do some great numbers. And so what I wanted to do, because Staci, she's a huge Ananda and style fan. So while we have Rhonda Ray and Dion Perrineau here in the space in between our next interview, Staci, why don't you have a conversation with Rhonda and Dion about fashion, style, modeling, and what you feel about Ananda. So Staci, take it away.
Thanks, Darren. Ladies, thank you for speaking with me. So with the style of Ananda back in the 90s, what do you think what were some of the trends she set? I know that every host, every VJ, every female usually has a signature look, something that sets the tone for them. When they walk in the room, you're like, oh, that's Ananda, and she's rocking, whatever it is. What are some of the pieces that were synonymous with her?
I'll give that to Rhonda.
Our looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, when I watched Ananda on the platform again, she served grace, style, just individuality. But what really stood out for me in the 90s, elevated streetwear was, making a stride. And so I just remember her signature as like a midriff, hip hugging pants, and maybe a bandana sometimes. And this is more on the streetwear end. But then when she graced the red carpet, you would see pops of color and her, rooted in her culture, with Afrocentric style, accessories to accessorize her look. But the thing that I most loved about her is that she wasn't afraid to wear color. Like, she lived in color and lived out loud with such a style and grace. What I can remember about her most, because I was there in that era, and I was as attached to, the TLCs and things like that. And so, people always, mistaked her for Chili.
I can
The,
see that.
the same kind of flowing dark tresses and so on and so forth. But I would say that what sticks out for me is her midriffs, hip hugging pants, and something that just showed skin, because, her skin was just like radiant, just a beautiful soul from the inside out. And she really, really embodied that, So I would say for me, it was her, her hip hop look, with the midriffs and you can find her sometimes in a bikini top, with the midriffs and with a tunic on top. So just very funky and on her own terms, is what, really captured her style for me.
Got you. And so she was good with transitioning looks, like she didn't stick to one type of look.
That is correct. She did not stick to one type of look. You never knew what you were gonna kind of get from her. But what I noticed about her being on the MTV platform is a lot of like urban kind of streetwear, her being rooted in culture. But again, I always say on her own terms, because I think that her style was on her own terms.
Absolutely. Thank you. Dion, anything you want to add to that?
Uh,
Anything
yeah,
signature about her that was like
I
something
just,
that was just so
I
much.
loved her on the red carpet moments, because she always brought whatever the event was, she was appropriate. And she wasn't
Mm,
appropriate in a contrived way. She always just brought herself, but it was appropriate for the moment, which is why I loved her sense of style, because she never looked like she was, and this is a lot of respect to stylists, but she didn't look styled. It looked like it was
Effort.
authentically coming off of her body. And I always noticed that. So
effortless. She was an effortless beauty.
yeah,
Like,
just
she really
she
is.
wore dresses. I mean, she wore it all. But I think that for me, the fact that she nailed it every single time. There aren't very many things, you can go back in all of the images and you're not going to say, oh, she always hit it.
Is it
So,
safe to say that people are doing too much now on the carpet? Are
wow.
they not effortless
Well,
anymore?
I don't want to speak against anyone, because
Mhm.
we are in a, just like we were in the 90s. We're in a trend moment, and this is the trend now. It's not necessarily my trend,
Right.
but it's a trend, and it will change, it'll evolve, it'll go into something else. But yeah, it's kind of different today. But I think that back in the 90s, again, we had a different I always say that the 90s stylist created fashion
Mm,
across the board, because that's when we started to really create. I mean, you got to look at it and remember, cross colors started in 1990, and all of those streetwears followed.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
90s and cross
Very.
colors, Black owned company, I have to say that.
it was such
um
a fabulous era. That was my
It
time.
was it was the best, and it was the best for my company, because we were able to have freedom, because we were setting trends, we were highlighting designers that people, not just Black people, kids had never seen or heard of. It's like, oh, you can put this with that, and didn't have to go into the mall and see a mannequin and dress from the mannequin. You could put
Right.
pieces like Ananda did, like, Rhonda just mentioned. She put on a, bikini top and threw on a jacket, and it was a trend, so yeah, I love
But she's
tonight.
still relatable, still
So
Mhm.
very,
relatable.
Yeah,
still
she
very,
still came off like a around the way girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like she seemed like
absolutely.
she was, even though she was really beautiful and classy, she still seemed like you could just kick it with her. Like if you just wanted to hang out and talk to her, like she was just that girl.
Right.
yep,
No
yep.
matter what she wore.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for giving us that information. That was amazing.
Can I just say congratulations to you, Dion? And I just wanted to shameless plug. I started my career with Dion in her agency.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, I just want to say congratulations. She
you.
was that girl back in the day for the the agency for creatives. So thank you, Dion. Thank you for paving the way.
Thank you.
You know, what you just did, Rhonda, and what you just said is exactly why I think this is important. So often we are highlighting individuals a lot of times after they passed. It's unfortunate that we're having this moment for Ananda now, when in reality, these are things that we should be celebrating on an ongoing basis. And so now that we know that Dion's had her 30th anniversary, we're going to have to bring you back. Bring
Yeah.
some of your past clients like Rhonda and some of your past models who you've had some people who've gone on to some really, really great success. And so, one, I want to thank you for participating with us. Rhonda and Dion, you guys can go on mute. You're welcome to stay. And now we're going to switch things up a little bit because, Staci, you talked to Bentley, right?
Yes.
But we want to make sure that we give Ariba some time with some of the cast members from Mind Your Business. And so we have Brayley Evans. Wait a minute, Karen was just there. Now she's not.
Yeah.
Oh, is she still there? There she is. Yeah, Karen's there. Okay. And so, Ariba, you had the opportunity to hear Staci talk to Bentley Kyle Evans about the hit Bounce series, Mind Your Business. It's in season 2, and we have 2 of the stars from the show, but they also are very much aware that this is Ananda Day. And so I'm going to let you take it away from here.
All right, great. And stick around, Staci, and feel free to jump in at any point. You and I are a great team, so I'd love to have your input. I am so excited to be joined in this segment by 2 amazing actresses, Brayley Evans and Karen Ward Ross. You can check both of these ladies out on the hit season 2, that is, the hit series Mind Your Business, which is airing on Bounce TV. Thank you so much, Brayley. Thank you so much, Karen Ward Ross, for joining me. You ladies have a lot to be excited about. Your hit show, Mind Your Business, got a 2nd season, and I think folks are hoping that that is not the last season, but we'll move to yet another season. So let's just jump right in. Karen, what has been the most amazing part for you in terms of working with Brayley and the other star-studded cast of Mind Your Business?
Well, Brayley is one of one. She's immensely talented, very generous in her acting, meaning when you're in a scene with her, she gives you so much to play off of. She's incredibly funny. So I think the audiences already knew that, but they're going to see even more of that this season. We kind of dive more into her backstory, which is exciting because she's the best friend of Drew Sidora's character, but we're all family. So I love it. It's just an honor to show up in this space with dynamic, powerful women who all support and respect each other.
Well, that's a compliment, Brayley. That
like I see you later, friend.
Did you? I don't know if you paid her for that, but that was like a
no, not at all. It's just from the heart. Just from the heart.
I mean, come on, I'm taking her everywhere I go. Are you kidding me?
Well, Brayley, she just said that you are an amazing actress, but more importantly, that you are an amazing sister friend, that you show up for Black women in an important way. And we're going to be talking about, an incredible Black woman, Ananda Lewis. But talk a little, Brayley, about your experiences on Mind Your Business.
Well, we have a fabulous, fabulous cast that spreads from, the very seasoned with Rolanda Watts, I have to put the in front, Rolanda Watts, our leader that brings the funny and wakes us all up every morning, Columbus Short. And then, of course, my bestie, Drew Sidor. And then our young ones, Bryce and our baby, Aaliyah. No. What's our baby's name? Jordan. And so we have everything from, the senior perspective all the way to like 10 years old, right? And everything in between. So it is a family show that we are just happy to bring something where the entire family can sit down together and watch. So it's so fun in that way. And that just pivots me right into Ananda, right? Because she was so as Karen said, giving in her energies and joy and love and peace that just exuded from her on the camera on all shows. So I'm happy to.
I gotta stop you, Braley. When you said the seniors, you weren't talking about Rhonda, right?
I'm talking about people who acted with her in that age group over there. Yes, the ones that are spicy and hot.
Okay, the seasoned actress. I just want to make sure she's a friend of mine, so I don't want to get in any trouble when she watches this and say, "Wait a minute, Ariva, you didn't stand up for me." So you just
No, I hope you heard me say season first.
okay,
Rewind.
I did. I did.
Yes, I most certainly did. But let me tell you, she's bringing such heat and showing. Don't let a little age stop you from getting on the back of a motorcycle, from finding love, from doing all the things. So when I
Yeah.
say she is representing the season, baby, I can't. Y'all got to watch it to find out.
Well, definitely no spoiler alerts. But Karen, let me ask you, how important is, we're going to talk about Ananda, but I want to ask you how important it is to have a multi-generational show of Black folks, produced, created by Black people in this moment, in particular when Black folks are under attack, from
Yeah,
Washington all over this country.
I'm glad you asked that because we really are at a cultural inflection point. We are at a crossroads. And I was actually going to speak to this idea that being seasoned and marinating in life experiences is actually a gift, just to honor Ananda. So I think that we can pivot the conversation away from age to embracing it. And, our 60, 70-year-old wisdom keepers, that's the gift of what life has. And Rhonda definitely translates that and emits that. And then, just being a mother, I'm honored that I get to be a mother in this series that is flawed and imperfect, but still powerful and poised. And I think that's important to kind of demonstrate that. And then, Staci with her writing and all the writers that give us the gift to show the multi-dimensionality of different people and characters and their humanity. And I think that for people of color, for Black people, Black women, we are at a point where we get to stand up and reclaim and author our voice. And our show is definitely a testament to that.
So I do want to bring Staci in. Staci Harris is a very talented host and TV writer that happens to be a writer on Mind Your Business. So Staci, how is it for you to be writing on this hit show? Again, trying to tell stories that speak to Black folks, but also speak to bigger cultural issues that we are experiencing as Black people in 2025.
I think the great thing about the writer's room is that Bentley is really open with allowing us to come in with our own perspectives. We get a chance to tell our stories through the artist, So, for instance, we have an episode that touches on endometriosis, which is not very spoken of in the Black community, especially among Black women, but it affects us the most. I have endometriosis. And so, episode 8, I want to say, is Drew Sidora's character finds out that she has endometriosis and she's over 40. And there's all of these elements, although we lace it in humor, there's so many elements to, what women go through, especially Black women. Most of us are over 40, we're not married. We have a lot of other outside elements coming at us, and we are oftentimes overlooked and displaced and kind of looked at as, oh, they're so strong, and let's just sweep that under the rug. And nobody really takes time to acknowledge the things that we're going through and or provide the help that we need or may not know that we need.
Right.
So we touch on that, and Drew does a fabulous job. Her Braley's character comes in and gives her great advice. Karen's character, they all come together, and support her. And I think the big thing that I love about the dynamic of Drew, Braley, and Karen is that they are close off screen and on screen, so it translates. So we get a chance to see dynamic Black women not being catty, not doing any of this, just really coming in and supporting each other and being fabulous and giving great advice and standing strong in opposition with each other. Like, they don't all go, okay, girl, it's no, we're not doing that, or yes, we are. Like, they do a great job of being real friends and real family on the show, which I love so much.
So Brayley, thank you for that, Staci, and thanks for the way you are representing the culture on this show. And clearly, Ananda Lewis represented all of us so incredibly well, so poised, so articulate, so brilliant in her commentary, not just around music and hip hop and videos on MTV, but the social commentary that she also became so well known for. So Brayley, we know Ananda spoke to a whole generation. When you think about folks today, are there figures that you follow on social media or people that you look to that carry a message similar to the way that Ananda did?
I don't know if it's similar, but because she had just her own lane, of how she maneuvered through this industry. But one that just came to top of mind is one of my closest friends and sisters, Tabitha Brown. Tabitha is just spreading joy, on every hand, good life, living, eating, all the veggies and living that vegan life. And just giving us some food for thought on how to treat people, talk to people. And she uses real life, situations and lets us in on her life and how she's handling how people handle her. So I have to give her the biggest shout out and say right now she is definitely a culture curator, if I will, creative word, I don't know. But yeah, so that's who I am on social media, bigging up.
Wow. I ditto in terms of what Tabitha has done for the culture. Thank you so much, Brayley. Thank you so much, Karen and Staci, for representing us so well, continuing the legacy that Ananda started. When we reflect on Ananda Lewis's contributions, we see someone who really understood that real power in media comes from building bridges between cultures, between generations and communities. And sometimes that's overlooked by mainstream media. So we are so grateful for platforms like these, for platforms like Bounce TV and others that allow Black folks to be authentically who we are and to continue to share our culture, which we know is loved, loved worldwide. So again, thank you, ladies, for joining me for this really important tribute to Ananda Lewis.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. My absolute pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real
Okay,
quick,
so thank you, ladies. I can't let you guys get out of here though. We got to toss this thing to Staci for a mind your business. All right, so Staci, take it away.
well, ladies, my cast, thank you so much. So I want to just take a minute to also to tap in with Karen really fast. Karen, you actually you go back to college with Ananda. You two were Howard alums, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes. Now, caveat, I think Ananda left just before I got there.
Mhm.
But yes, we are still Bisons. And she, obviously, like many of us, was someone that I aspired and looked up to. So just having to share the same campus with her was, whether I was physically there with her or not, is an honor and something that I hold dearly. So, yeah.
Was there
Um,
anything on campus that was Ananda touched, like, people always talked about with her, or since she was already gone when you got there, was there anything that, was really big on the campus that pertained to Ananda?
There isn't anything that's coming to mind, but the beauty of Ananda, she belonged to the world, specifically to us. So yeah, although, she is a Bison and was at Howard, her life was so large and expansive that we all got to benefit from her. So no, I don't remember a specific Ananda ism, if you will, on Howard's campus, but I definitely know the impact and it's reverberating. I mean, I'm in communication with Howard's alumni community, so we all feel it. We all feel the absence of her big bright light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, on our show, you play Kimberly, and Kimberly is, let's just say Kimberly's a little uptight sometimes, just
Mhm.
a little bit.
She's
She,
particular. Kimberly's particular.
okay, she's particular. She has her own way of doing things, her own style, her own swag. And this
Yes.
season, I feel like we really give Kimberly more room to play with the humor, um,
Hmm. Hmm.
the looks. You know,
Yeah.
your character really gets to come out of her shell a lot more this season. So
Hmm.
tell me how you felt about some of the things that we gave you this season?
I mean, I was surprised, I was shocked, and I was honored. The places that I got to go with her, I'm thinking of one scene in particular from last episode with Brayley, Kimberly, and Mia. I really love the redirect. You think one thing's happening in an episode, and the writers do a great job of, no, actually, this is what's happening. And so, just to kind of play in that deliciousness was fun. And Kimberly, like me, cares deeply, and that's at the root of everything that she does. So she may come off as neurotic in particular and anal, and color coding her labels in the kitchen, but at the heart of it is her deep love for her family. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And Brelly, your character is she comes in with the boom bang. She comes in and gives us like, those one-liners that are hashtagable, and and
Come on.
the improv that you bring to our scripts are really fire. So do you have like a stand-up background, girl? Like, I need to know, like, if you have a mic somewhere and you be like in your dressing room talking about, okay, this is what I'm gonna do when I get out there. Like, I need to know.
Can I just tell you, I should take this as a sign. Everyone deems me a comedian. And I'm like, yo, I'm a comedic actress. I respect that microphone when it comes to people
Mm,
standing on stages and it's just them and a mic in the audience. Maybe I don't do that. I've tried it maybe once or twice and was successful, but I have not deemed myself, I have not been given the golden, you may now enter the world as a comedian. No, no, no. Kevin Hart and all the funny ones have not came and given me, I thought the Wayans, all of them. I need somebody to come and say, okay, you are now welcome in the space. But no, you guys write so well. It makes it truly easy to put it in my body and let just spirit just do what it's gonna do, right? I always tell my acting students that acting is such a spiritual thing, guys. Like, you're using your entire body for something. And so it's important that you understand the character, understand the goal, and then just let that thing get on the inside of you and let it rip. So I'm grateful for what you guys put in, because once you put that, those directions in, I call our scripts the Bible in me, then I'm able to just fly. And that's what you guys get to see on screen. It is incredible having a team like we have, even with our director just allowing us to live in these moments, right? It's like, and then he is the one of the creators and masterminds behind Martin. Like, come on. Like, it's like Kyle Bentley Evans has done the thing. So it's like, you have nothing else to do but get there and live the pages.
absolutely. Karen, for you, you have had a very long career. You have been in the game since you were a kid. Tell me if, do you have, I know, I feel like every person, especially an artist, has like that defining moment, that signature moment that sets them apart, maybe in their mind, or set them apart on set, that says, this is signature to me. This defines me. Like, have you had a defining moment in your career or in your personal life that, really set the tone for how you have continued to move on your journey?
That's a great question. I have a few, but yes, there was definitely a pivotal moment, and there was a role that saved my life because I almost died while filming a movie.
Oh, wow.
So I am shooting a film with Ice-T, and we're in Los Angeles, and for authenticity's sake, we're in a certain part of Los Angeles. And I just finished getting my hair and makeup done. So I'm in the hair and makeup trailer, and the makeup artist leaves, and I'm getting ready to come behind her, but I'm in the mirror primping a little bit, just kind of checking myself out, and hear pop, 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 gunshots. And I'm like, hold on. I'm at base camp. I'm nowhere near set. And they're getting closer. Bam, 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 bam. And so I crouched down in the hair and makeup trailer, and I try to make myself as small as possible because, mind you, the door is open, and I'm hearing the gunshots get closer and louder. And I'm sitting there, and I'm very still, very calm, and I'm praying, and I'm thinking to myself, is this it? Like, is this how this ends for me? And then I see the footsteps of the shooter going past the hair and makeup trailer, right? Hearing the gunshots. I don't even totally remember what happened, but obviously I'm here to tell the story. And I just remember thinking that we are not guaranteed a reshoot, pun absolutely intended. Like we live life as if we have so much time to create, if we're going to get a second chance. And oftentimes we're not. So production was shut down. We didn't shoot that day. I wasn't even married then. I didn't have kids. So I think I called my boyfriend, fiance at the time, but it just really was a reminder that now is the time to greenlight your life. And from that point on, I really took my life, my craft, my artistry more seriously and committed to living full out because there isn't always a take two. So yeah.
Wow. So there was an active shooter?
It was an active shooter. Yeah. We were in kind of gang territory. So it was one gang. As a matter of fact, I'm not gonna say this. I was gonna say the color of the shoes that I saw outside the trailer, but I won't. It's not necessary. The point is, it was so close. I didn't know if he was gonna come in. I didn't. I could literally feel my breath in my chest, and my body was tingling, and I just didn't know if this was it for me.
Jeez.
And that changed me.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
wow.
thank Ice-T for that.
Listen, that
I'm
will
grateful
do
for your
it.
life, friend. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, Brayley, I hope you haven't had this kind of a
no.
this hasn't been an experience for you, but same question to you.
Well, not at all. I mean, of course, I know this is Ananda Day, and I would be remiss if I did not let you guys know that my career started not as an actress. I actually was in a girl group in the 90s, and it was called Image, Emage.
Mhm.
3 girls out of Oakland, California, signed to records and produced by Black Sheep. We met them we were walking down the streets of Oakland, and they literally said, "Oh my God, you guys look like a group," and we are a group. We sang, got a record deal, and the rest is history. So I'm very grateful to Drez and Long for that opportunity. That brings us to, by the time the group and we're signed and everything, one of our first TV shows we did was called Teen Summit. And so we were on Teen Summit and singing our song and doing our dance. And there was the queen, right? It's just so, I was thinking, oh God, I don't know her personally. I don't know her personally. And then I was like, oh my God, but I've had an encounter. Like what, I can't make it up. Like my life, to just have been in the presence, right, of someone. And she's so impactful that I hadn't seen her on TV, obviously, since the construction show on, help me, on,
The what?
it was, she's actually, Ananda had a show that was about when you, like, surprising people with a new renovation.
Carpentry and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she had this show, right? I hadn't seen her since then, but to have this opportunity to be like, oh my God, she has touched my life, not only through the TV, but actually in person, is just, a blessing to be a part and just remind the world of that special light that she had. So we have crossed paths, and I just wanted to, just keep her name ringing in this moment. So yeah.
Absolutely. Was that like a signature moment for you when you thought about it? Were you like, oh my gosh, I do have this moment?
Well, yeah, because I was on Teen Summit, for God's sake. Hello. Like,
Summit
their
was
routine in their living room was trying to get on that, and
Yeah,
believe that my life, my singing, this girl group Image, which if you want to check out our music video, it's on YouTube. Image, The Choice Is Yours was the name of our first single. Just to think I made it to that, to that pinnacle, 'cause that was a big deal in the 90s, right? So it's just like, wow. Yeah, that's a changing moment. And I think what happened later on in life, as the music kind of dissipated for me, I went to college, got degreed, and did all the things, went into corporate. And then someone said, you're an actor. And I think because I had that singing career to launch from, there was a confidence that if I did it once, baby, I could do it again. So here I'm back as an actress for all of you. And I guess comedians coming. But yeah, that's kind of my string of yeah, I always tell people I've been famous twice. I was a singer in a group and then became an actress. So yeah.
Okay, well, I'm about to find your song because I'm gonna now add it to my playlist just cause, honey. I'm just gonna do that.
I love it.
Is there anything that, Karen, for you that was signature about Ananda to you? There's something that just really, stood out about her to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything work related, just maybe just something about her personality, her vibe, anything, even her hair. Her hair was classic.
It was. We love. I mean, you know what? What I really miss and honor and cherish about Ananda was the richness of her voice, the tonality of her voice. She spoke with so much power and precision, and she basically, for a lot of us, became our Barbara Walters. She was our generation, our teen version of that level of sophistication and knowledge, and she showed that you can be smart, sophisticated, and soulful. And she became the voice for us long before social media made it trendy to have a voice, when we didn't even know we needed one. And so, yeah, and just I have to think back to the question that you asked me, which was a great question, Staci, about a pivotal, seminal moment for me, and me linking back the moment I realized we don't get another opportunity. And now I'm looking at Ananda's legacy, where she's been very vocal on how sometimes you're not able to go back and correct a mistake, or do something differently. She's been very expressive on how she may have made different choices, and not saying that from a lens of regret, but a lens of empowerment, and as an offering to us to pay it forward. That, as I said before, we don't always get a second chance. We don't always get an opportunity to create. And so it's really just being embodied. And she was that. She was embodied fully in authenticity and realness. And so I think that's the gift that the baton she hands to me and to all of us, to use our voice with that level of depth and precision.
She consistently did that. She was very consistent.
Yeah.
Anything you want to echo to that, Brayley?
Yes, I'm just happy to have had women trailblaze, before me coming on the scene. And she's just one of those, right? She has made a way. I love that when I was just even for this, like even reading up more, that it was her presence that defined what VJs were. And I was like, come on, what a way. That's huge, right? So she gave not only voice to, but she gave positioning and created things for us to aspire to that didn't even exist. So that really makes me happy that I lived in an era that she existed.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, I thank you so much for joining us. Are you guys enjoying season 2 so far?
Are you kidding me? I'm loud about it.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to season 3. And Staci, may I ask you, as a writer, as a creative, and giving us so much to play and live inside of building worlds, how has Ananda perhaps impacted you in your storytelling journey, if I may ask that?
Yes, you may. Growing up, outside of acting is my first love, but I always loved on-air hosts. Oprah was like the icon to me. So when I was a little girl, I would come home from school and I would watch Oprah. But then, Ananda was also somebody that I would get up in the morning and watch Teen Summit. And she was like, and I think because in my era, like we were really privileged to see Black faces. Like we were privileged to see, the Cosby Show and Friends
Family Matters
and Family Matters. We saw so many Black faces that were classy and that, really really spoke to like the excellence of Black people, and so Ananda was one of those people. So growing up, like I got a chance to watch her, and then when she went over to MTV, it was just like, oh, okay, this really fly Black lady is over here, and she really delivered. Like she wasn't afraid to, to go there and to stand tall next to these celebrities and interview. She was always classy. Like you never heard anything about her, you know, being out of pocket or out of character. Like she was always classy. And at that time, she's a little bit older than me, but you don't really realize that that matters until you progress in age and you see where we're at now. The culture is so different. And unfortunately, it was mentioned earlier, we probably won't ever have a 90s era again. Like we probably won't see that same, you know, dynamic, you know, but the fact that we had it and we got to live in it, you know, and we got to have people like Ananda set the tone. That's kind of how I am as a host. Like I try to be very just fierce and like, you know, speak my truth, but also classy and fun and have a good time. And that's what she did. And so that was something that I always, you know, look forward to on Teen Summit because she was fly and she was also bold. Like, she was always fly, just fly that hair, girl. I can't talk about her hair all the time because her hair was just so beautiful and she didn't have to do too much. You know what I mean?
Natural beauty. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, she didn't have a pound of hair she was just, I mean, when I say hair, you know how people have like all the, I ain't gonna clown people who do that, but I'm just saying, she was just super simple, like, you know what I mean? Like, she was just super simple. Her hair was always the same, but it was always just fly. She just always looked good, and it wasn't too much. And I think that, you know, we've kind of lost that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, people don't really just embrace the natural beauty anymore. Like, you guys are so naturally beautiful. Like, you guys come to set casual. Nobody comes with a full beat every time they get on set, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, you just are able to just be yourselves, and that's something that she did too. And, you know, I try to mirror that and mimic that. And so, you know, it's unfortunate that we lost her because I was really hoping that we would not. But, you know, we get a chance to honor her in this way, you know, with beautiful Black people, beautiful Black women who are giving a voice to her legacy. Even though that she's gone, we are still holding up that mantle for her, and we will always do it for our Black women because that's what Black women do.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully I will see you guys very soon again on set.
Absolutely.
love.
Mind your business. Saturdays, 8, 7 Central.
Absolutely. Do you have anything you want to say?
What do you say, Staci?
No, Rhonda, did you have anything you want to say?
No, I was just applauding and congratulating on Mind Your Business.
Thank you.
That plug that Karen gave at the end, that was perfect. And then you said, oh, that was it. That was after that. We gonna cut it right.
I follow it up on bounce.
No, first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being here. This was very powerful and important. Then once we cut these interviews together, they're gonna be funny, they're gonna be interesting. This was really, really great. Now we do have a couple of people who are watching on the stream. They may have still be there. We're actually hanging out for Marlin. So keep the stream open.
Hey, Bison. Hi, Bison.
You know.
And another one.
Oh yeah, no, listen.
Rhonda, you're a Bison.
This is a Bison takeover.
Were you just in Vegas?
No, I wasn't.
Okay,
I didn't.
There was a Bison in Vegas, and there was a Rhonda there that was curating it. I didn't get a chance to connect with her, so I didn't know if that was you.
No, no, I spent some time there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, we're gonna have to do something and bring all these Bisons back because we have a great opportunity that we're looking at doing around Congressional Black Caucus in DC.
Oh yeah, well, Darren, let's connect, as I mentioned to on text, with the Howard Alumni Association and all that.
Exactly.
Let me know, and I can definitely.
Yeah, and so we're definitely going to already be there doing something, and so I think that we could start a conversation. And with you being a Bison, and obviously we have so many here, I think it's a really great start. Because what I want to make sure that doesn't happen, and it was kind of happening, and I think that once people see this, they're going to piggyback it. While there is a space that needs to happen for the conversation around her breast cancer and her choices that she made.
Yes.
That doesn't need to be the only conversation that's happening around Ananda Lews as a media personality and icon. And so my goal was to inspire people to, if you have shows, there are really great segments that you can be developing that you can include her and have a broader conversation about where we are in media. I mean, we touched on so many great relevant topics as a spinoff from a conversation with Ananda Lews. And I love that you mentioned the Black Barbara Walters, right? That if Barbara Walters suddenly passed away, there is not a news outlet in the world that would not be
Exactly. And that's what she was for us. And, and
no, MTV lost its way. Let's keep it up. MTV and BET lost their way. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not the standard bearers of the culture that they once were. So there's a lot of people who don't understand how big and important Ananda Lewis, well, she's in her 20s and her 30s, sitting down with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. And
this was Hillary Clinton. Wait, this was Hillary Clinton as the wife of President Clinton. Not Hillary Clinton you know right now. This was First Lady Hillary Clinton.
First Lady, right.
Right. And so she was sitting down with her to have a conversation about on the heels of the whole, I'm not standing by my man. Like Hillary Clinton had a very bad negative media moment leading up through his candidacy. They needed to reframe her to where they go to the young people. Right. And we could very much trace back to that interview. Was that the start of Hillary Clinton's identification with youth culture? Okay. But youth culture started stepping up with her because she was getting blasted by traditional mainstream culture.
Come on now, Darren. Come on now. We just went to
her
church.
stature, of her presence. Like people forget that Hillary Clinton was one of the attorneys that sued Richard Nixon.
Wow.
You don't understand how she was fighting the establishment. And so the establishment media was not going to have her on. So where did she go? Ananda and fucking MTV.
Right.
Huge.
Yeah. She validated a lot of people.
Well, I majored in journalism, right? And I was supposed to be at the Times, and I left that environment because it wasn't for us at that time. I couldn't go to MTV because I was in LA, and MTV wasn't even in LA yet, right? And so the only other place that you could go if you were in media, you wanted to be somewhere big, was MTV. And well, if you was a Black woman, there wasn't no space for you over there because she held it down.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know, you don't get free in AJ.
Yeah.
You realize that?
Yeah.
That 106 in Park, they had to keep hunting and finding until they found the right host that could compete. And
I mean, you're so right. I mean, journalists, the work that you do, that Ananda did, you are the midwives and mid-husbands of our stories, our griots, our storytellers. So when we truncate that, we cease to exist in a meaningful way. Not in actuality, because we always will exist and rise up. That's just in our DNA and our legacy and our heritage. But in terms of being out in the world, like you said, she substantiated, she validated so many people. And so now it is incumbent upon us to pick up the baton and pass it and hold that torch for her and for all of us that are coming behind us.
There
so
needs
I would
to
love
be
to help
some
facilitate
signature journalism award named after Ananda Lewis.
that. Yeah, for sure.
Period.
Absolutely.
So that's the movement I'm on.
Yeah,
right?
well, let's do it. Especially, and Howard, absolutely.
Well, y'all got the muscle and the power to do it, right? At
Yeah.
some point, there needs to be some building or some program or some education that's happening at Howard in her name, right?
Much like our ancestor Chadwick, with the Fine Arts Building. So yeah, and it's interesting because you have two expressions of cancer. One who we honored and hold highly in high regard, kept it intimate and private, and that was his choice and honor to do so. And then we also have the generosity and the vulnerability of Ananda, who actually exposed and shared her journey. And so I'm just looking at
I understand how media is, and I know that right now in this moment is very celebratory, but at some point it is possible that the energy and tone could change because for breast cancer advocates, people who are advocating for big pharma and chemo and all those things, that it's possible that there will be a different conversation over time. And so what I'm more concerned is that conversation starts to overshadow and dominate the more important conversation of what she represents in the culture, because that time is still permeating through this time. There's nothing going on right now that didn't kick off in the 90s. And that's why what you and Rhonda, what you and Dion were able to kind of put into context, and Andy as well, is that there was nothing bigger. You came home every single day and watched MTV, period. And if you didn't watch it, you asked somebody what happened on MTV.
Right.
And so and it wasn't, and I'm glad that Dion was able to take it back to 82.
Right.
When she got her MTV. right? So you're talking about from 82 to into the 2000s. Now she was on Team Summit in the late 80s, early 90s. And then we don't talk about the fact that she made the leap to a mainstream global platform as a Black woman, and nobody said shit about it. It didn't even register as a thing.
Yeah.
Why?
Mhm.
Because of her. Because
Yep.
of her energy and spirit and personality. It wasn't like, hey, there's a Black girl on MTV. There was like, oh, what's she talking about?
More intrigued.
Not a single, I don't remember any major backlash, pushback, anything from any white artist or any white executives or any one white period about this girl being the face of this MTV.
Yeah, she transcended that for sure. And I appreciate your point, Darren. I think you're right that we can kind of expand the conversation out. And I think it may also be important to center not necessarily her personal choices on a micro level, but her intentions on a macro level, because I think we have more women making appointments to get mammograms, more women having agency and accountability in their health choices and outcomes. And so that I know was a big part of what she wanted to gift us. And that's important. You know, Staci's doing a great job of expanding the conversation, as you said, around something that affects Black women disproportionately with endometriosis. I have a hard time saying that. I had to say
You got it right.
Because
I was
Staci gave me the line to say it. I had to write it out phonetically. But the point is, you're right. I think it's not a but an and conversation. Let's see who she is on a global stage and the impact that she had, and also the nuanced perspective of how are we taking care of our health, particularly when the outcomes for Black women are disproportionately disadvantaged than our white counterparts, and even other not even just
and it's important to note that had she had someone advocating in the way that she has done in her passing for early mammograms, right? That maybe she does catch us at a stage where all of that homeopathic treatment
exactly, yeah.
effective.
I'm a homeopathic. I'm crunchy. I'm with
I was
the
going to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
But they can go hand in hand. You know, allopathic and homeopathic can support each other. And I think that's what she recognized also, and was very vulnerable and honest about that.
Very vulnerable.
Yeah. And that's the legacy that I want to make sure it's what permeates, is because the more we put it in perspective how big and global she was, the more her advocacy goes, right?
For all women, yeah. And even men. You know, breast cancer is actually affecting men.
Men as well, yeah.
Which is, you know, a lesser known conversation. So yeah, it's just.
But what's great is that, you know, I represented Vanessa Bell Calloway when we brought her to the world as a breast cancer survivor. We've done a lot of work in the space. I know all the various breast cancer groups, and I know that a ton of them would want to figure out a way to work with her. And hearing what Andy said, you know, I'm circling back to him and say, come on, let's do something with Hilfiger, breast cancer. You know, it's coming up in October, right? And around the same time of caucus, right? So that's what I'm saying. I think we can do something really big, you know what I mean, and really important. And then also let's get the scholarship fund going. Let's get handy in, like, the clothes are great, but let's do a whole Hilfiger scholarship thing.
Yeah, let's have an economic ecosystem and engine that
exactly. And that's why
with breast cancer awareness month being in October, it might not be a bad idea to do something in her honor around homecoming time for in October as well.
They have to. That'd be great.
Yeah, and you can get the Ad Council, you can get Susan G. Komen, there's a ton of Black breast cancer groups, but now would be the time to say, hey, let's make those calls and outreach. Let's rally those troops. Because those are the folks who there have to be people who will say, well, I'm willing to just make that initial call and get it rolling. Once that happens, it rolls on its own, right? So we have the caucus side already plugged in. There's no way in heck.
We should talk, Darren, and I can connect us with, you know, Howard Alumni Association and get the conversation started.
This is where your network.
What'd you say?
This is where being on a network comes in, because the Ad Council would link behind you guys. We did something with the Ad Council. We did a campaign called Know Your Girls. And Girls was actually, the dollars for it came from the Ad Council, but it was a partnership between Susan D. Komen and some other breast cancer groups to do a whole campaign, right? And so it's understanding that, and with the players we already have, and with Ananda, there's definitely something they would want to either plug her into. So it was a collaboration with Alicia Keys. And her song, You Don't Know Her Name, was a girls campaign, and it was billboards, radio ads. It was massive. And so that's definitely something that there's enough time to approach and find out what are people doing for Breast Cancer Month, and then how do we make this a much bigger moment.
Nice.
All right, guys.
Good.
So, Staci, do you think we want to ping Marlon and see what's happening, or?
Yeah, I can ping the guy. I don't know if
Yeah, let's just see if, and then, because he may have a ETA, right? Because I know that they said that he might be jumping on right before, so we're in a window now. And so anyone who needs to jump, you guys are released. We thank you so much for your time. We're gonna hang out here for Mr. Wayans.
All right.
Well, have a grand day, all. Thank you guys so much for including me in the conversation. Blessed to always be.
Yeah, no, and know that we're going to have you guys back again because we're doing a whole thing around the endometriosis episode.
Oh, yeah.
Say that 3 times fast, right? Endometriosis episode. And so at some point in the next week or two, we're going to put together an email and everything for you. And I'm going to reach out to the National Foundation, and then since we feel like that you're going to be a great representative for this, and feel like we can do something great, especially with Emmys coming up and the different award seasons and things like that. I know that they're going to be submitting you guys again for the Image Awards because you were nominated before, right?
Were we nominated, Staci?
I'm not familiar.
I'm not sure if we missed the cutoff or what.
Bentley was nominated.
Oh, right, that's right. Bentley was. Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys were nominated, right? So and so
maybe this
because of that, there's a great opportunity to kind of ride that momentum. Do cause-related activations around award seasons, things, and that's kind of where it is. And so I think we have some. I'm excited. I've been watching the show.
Yes,
I started seeing the promotions because I watched stuff on Bounce. I'm like, they promoting the hell out the show. Like, wait a minute, they actually behind the show. That's really what got me going on this. Like, we wanted to talk to you guys in Bentley because I'm like, wait a minute now. There's a bunch of my favorite people on the show. Karen, you and I are just meeting, but me and Brayley, we go back, and Bentley and I go back in Columbus, and I'm like, and Lorraine. But I'm like, hold up. Once I saw the combination of characters, y'all got an opportunity to do something with this show.
Yeah.
For real, and so I'm on board to help promote and publicize and amplify everything that you guys got going on. And so any opportunities that I can create for you, I'm definitely going to do that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, now we need a good family wholesome show that's funny.
Yes.
It's not funny for any outrageousness. It's funny just because it's the right cast of characters, good storyline concept, and because of that, it's just now getting more people to see it.
And highlighting the nucleus, the
fact that you're in the season 2 and people are still kind of coming to the show, your numbers are up. That's all you need. What you need to try to do is y'all start whispering, hey, when are they gonna get that renewal? When are we gonna get that renewal? Right? Because you want them to renew it before the show is over. That's a lot of times.
Right, exactly.
Networks don't really do all of it.
There's a buzz. We just don't know. There's a buzz.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be beating the drum. I'm gonna get some right journalists to write about it. And then I got a couple people who want to speak to you, Brayley. So some folks who we stuff in the past, they're like, hey, yeah. And so we'll definitely get that going. And Karen, you're new to our circle, but now that I've seen you, felt your energy, got some stuff for you too. So don't worry.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's make it happen, Darren. And let's connect on the HU stuff. And thank you. It was an honor to be here. Staci, thank you.
Thank you, Staci. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Bye,
Love, Darren. Hate you.
I'll be calling you later, okay?
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Bye.
All right. So we're
Now,
gonna.
will you guys boot me? Oh, I have to leave here. Okay, got it. Okay. Bye.
All right. You're gonna
America, welcome to IPTV. Otif did that.